Throughout the years, Gumball has gone through a lot of changes with this persona, and quite frankly, these changes would most likely make the classic Gumball absolutely hate the modern Gumball we have today. So today, we're gonna be going over every reason why the classic Gumball would hate the modern Gumball. Let's start off by building a profile and figuring out what truly made the classic Gumball mad, as a lot of episodes show this really well, with our first of our examples being seen in the third. The episode starts with there only being one day left before school starts, and we see Gumball and Darwin try to find something fun to do, but every game feels old and boring. Due to this, Gumball suddenly worries that maybe the problem isn't the games at all, and maybe they're just tired of each other, so they decide they need a third best friend. Their search goes terribly, with weird, annoying, and creepy classmates making everything more awkward, until Tobias finally ends up stealing Darwin away after Gumball literally pays him to be their friend. Feeling left out and jealous, Gumball goes on a wild mission across town to get Darwin back, crashing through cement, flying down hills, and causing mayhem along the way. In the end, Darwin admits that he misses Gumball too, and the two happily reunite while making it very clear that no one else can replace their friendship. Now, in this episode, we clearly see Gumball suffer from jealousy and be mad that Darwin was hanging out with someone else that's not him.
He's a really cool guy!
Well, he's okay, but
What do you mean he's okay? He's the best guy ever!
It's not like you've played with him your whole life.
I might as well have. I feel like I've known him forever.
This trait is really good in a way from classic Gumball, as he genuinely cared about Darwin and wanted him all to himself, due to their insanely strong bond, which in that case, we put on the list that Gumball would be triggered by jealousy. And let's just say later in this video, this completely changes for the worst. But another very interesting trait that would cause the old Gumball to get mad is actually laziness, which we see in the episode The Laziest. This episode starts with Nicole leaving Richard alone to do chores, which he immediately looks for a way out of working and tricks Gumball and Darwin into taking the trash out for him.
How about you little bank robbers take your loot to the safe house? Huh?
The boys get mad and challenge their dad to a lazy off to see who truly is the laziest person in the family. But Richard easily keeps up while they struggle through sugar rushes and failed attempts to recruit the legendary Lazy Larry. After Larry completely falls back into his old lazy habits and still fails to show up, Gumball and Darwin are forced to battle Richard themselves in an absurd competition of doing absolutely nothing. In the end, Richard cleverly pretends he spent the whole day cleaning, so when Nicole gets home, Gumball and Darwin end up stuck doing all the chores, while Richard relaxes on the couch like he planned all along. Now, in the episode, we clearly see that Gumball dislikes the fact that Richard is quite literally a lazy bum, so he essentially tried to get somebody to out-lazy him, in hopes to have Richard no longer be lazy and not have Gumball and Darwin do anything for him. So yeah, this trait definitely triggered Gumball back then. And it's honestly believable, as classic Gumball was known as a character who was genuinely active and wanted to do stuff, but unfortunately this will fade away. But not only do we see Gumball more active back then, we also see him have more overall respect back then, and we see this in the pressure. The episode kicks off with a group of girls bragging about fake boyfriends in Molly's treehouse, and when Masami randomly claims Darwin is hers, things spiral out of control. Darwin panics and spends the entire day avoiding Masami, while Gumball keeps embarrassing himself whenever Penny is around because he secretly likes her. And after several failed escape plans, awkward misunderstandings, and terrible advice, Darwin finally agrees to meet Masami at a treehouse, while Gumball hopes it will also be his chance to finally kiss Penny. Everything goes wrong when Tobias and Banana Joe accidentally chop the whole treehouse down, causing Gumball and Darwin to accidentally kiss each other instead, while thinking that they just kissed the girls they like.
That was amazing! Kissing Penny was like being run over by a unicorn.
And kissing Masami wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
If you didn't already notice, in the episode, Gumball was acting shy and wasn't really being the biggest fan of social pressure and emotional intelligence, even though he wanted to kiss Penny, which we actually see be a pattern a lot throughout seasons 1 and 2 of the show, before Gumball and Penny actually got together, which was actually a really respectful trait of classic Gumball that unfortunately died down. However, we can now put high pressure on the list of things that triggered classic Gumball. Now, while all of these things seemed pretty valid and made classic Gumball seem like a reasonable person, modern Gumball seems to go against everything we went over in a way, starting around season 5, which is when people consider to be the end of classic Gumball. But let's start with the first thing that old Gumball hated, which was jealousy. And we would first see him become what he hated in the BFFs. In this episode, Darwin answers the door one day and is greeted with this weird little creature that he instantly dislikes, only to find out it's actually Gumball's old best friend, Fuzzy from Minnesota. Gumball is super excited to reconnect with him, but Darwin gets jealous fast and becomes convinced that Fuzzy is hiding something shady. Gumball angrily leaves with him on a ridiculously long trip to Minnesota, dragging themselves through deserts, mountains, and forests just to get there. Once they arrive, Fuzzy suddenly goes full-on psycho, forcing Gumball into toddler clothes and acting completely unhinged until Darwin swoops in with a shovel to save him. Gumball and Darwin barely escape Fuzzy in the woods before Fuzzy accidentally knocks himself out, and Gumball and Darwin decide that they've had enough adventure and just head home dreaming about tacos instead. Now, this episode was actually interesting, as the roles would actually switch compared to the third. And instead of Gumball being jealous, Darwin was the jealous one, which shows how far Gumball's character development has come, as he was now hanging out with other people over Darwin, while this supposed friend seemed insanely shady the whole time. So it's clear that this trait would most likely be one of the main reasons why classic Gumball would want to punch modern Gumball in the face. But remember that in addition to this, Gumball also hates when people are lazy and don't do what they need to do. Yeah, well, for some reason, Gumball had a sudden switch in mentality between the years, as in the vegging, we literally see him become Richard, but honestly, 10 times worse. The episode starts with Gumball waking up super excited because he and Darwin finally have the whole day planned to do absolutely nothing except lie around and watch TV.
I meant today is the day we veg out. You don't want to do anything at all today?
No, I'm on strike. It's like if the tiniest thing happens in this town, we end up running a gosh darn marathon.
Due to this, they go completely overboard, preparing for maximum laziness, setting up snacks, games, diapers, and even weird tricks, so they never have to stand up. No matter what crazy disaster happens outside, meteors, mutants, aliens, the apocalypse, and even creepy horror villains crawling out of the TV, the two just kept ignoring it so they could continue vegging out. Things only get harder when the TV breaks. The world practically starts ending, and even their family gets stuck dangling off a bridge. But Gumball and Darwin still try to solve everything while staying seated. By the end of the day, after surviving nonstop chaos without giving up their lazy mission, they settle back onto the couch and completely ignore a mysterious message from the future because they got distracted by candy in the cushions. Now, obviously, anyone wants a day in their life where they can do nothing. And believe me, I do too. However, Gumball was taking the laziness concept way too far, as he quite literally didn't want to stand up and do anything. Just like Richard didn't want to get up and take out the trash just a few years prior. So this little idea of Gumball just shines light on how much he changed throughout the years from his classic self. Now, so far, we've been mainly seeing Gumball from season 5 and season 6 commit what his old self hated. But what if I told you that he started giving off hints of how his modern self would look like all the way back in season 2? We would see this in The Flower, where Gumball would start going completely against the social pressure that he used to hate, and would unleash it all on Penny. In the episode, we see Gumball spending his lunch break watching Penny cheer from afar, but things go downhill fast when he sees Leslie comforting her and instantly gets consumed by jealousy. His jealousy basically takes over his body, making him act completely insane by attacking Leslie, trying to frame him for theft, and ruining every attempt to make peace with him. Even after Gumball tries to calm him down, his jealous side secretly sets up traps for Leslie and nearly gets him eaten alive by bugs in the park. Eventually, Gumball becomes so unhinged that Carrie and the others literally perform an exorcism to pull the jealousy out of him, only for the jealous spirit to go wild and possess everyone else. The chaos finally stops when Penny reveals she and Leslie are actually cousins, instantly curing Gumball's jealousy and making the evil spirit disappear for good.
Ah, Penny! You gotta break up with Leslie! What are you talking about? We're not dating, we're cousins!
Wait, did you just say he was your cousin?
Well, duh. Everyone knows.
Well, duh, I didn't.
Clearly, this episode displayed a lot of jealousy from Gumball, which was a trait he would also suffer from a lot with his classic self, like we went over earlier. However, we would also see Gumball be very pushy in this episode towards Leslie, Carrie, and Penny by spying on them, pressuring Leslie, and so much more. It is weird, as just a season before, Gumball was pretty much against this behavior. However, as early as season 2, we would start seeing this from Gumball, and it would become an inconsistent but frequent pattern that we would see from him. Well, that right there is why classic Gumball would probably despise modern Gumball. And if you want to hear me analyze more Gumball, click the video on screen. I'm sure you'll love it. And also subscribe.